Working part-time at a place like this suits you. A poor guy without a family.
My classmate Aaron mocked me while I was working at the convenience store. However, in the next moment, thunk, the sound of a blow to the head echoed through the quiet store.
You apologize immediately.
The father of the classmate who had been harassing me appeared and scolded his son. Upon learning the reason, tears welled up in my eyes. My name is Cyrus. Ever since losing my parents in an accident when I was young, I've been an orphan, transferring schools multiple times. I moved from one relative's house to another. Initially, my relatives treated me kindly, but raising someone else's child is undoubtedly challenging. When it was time to move to the next home, they would send me off with a cheerful "take care." Never once did they say, "You're welcome back anytime." Through these frequent changes, I learned how to live without inconveniencing others. During my 8th grade, for some reason, I ended up staying with the Anderson couple, who were in their 50s. Paul and Betty Anderson were both qualified lawyers who had worked busily as attorneys until a few years ago. Now they had retired and were living peacefully. I couldn't fathom why they took in an unrelated orphan like me. Regardless of the reason, I wanted to stay here forever. This town held warm memories because it was where I lived with my parents until their accident. Walking the streets, those memories resurfaced. How long will the Andersons let me stay in their home? Reflecting on my past, I vowed to live quietly without causing trouble until the time came for me to leave. Contrary to my thoughts, the Anderson couple treated me like true family, showering me with kindness.
Cyrus, let's go fishing together.
Cyrus, what would you like for dinner tonight?
Since my parents' passing, I hadn't had conversations like these. I realized that genuine family warmth existed. Gradually, I opened my heart to the Andersons. In my 3rd year of middle school, Paul asked me about my future plans. After graduating from school, I'll work and become self-reliant. Please let me stay here a little longer. I expressed my intention to start working without hesitation.
We consider Cyrus as part of our true family. You can stay here as long as you need, and don't worry about money. Seriously, think about your future.
Paul's kindness overflowed. Although his words made me happy, I had never thought about my future until now. Focused on not inconveniencing others, I hadn't considered what I liked or what I wanted to do. Seeing my struggle to envision my future, Paul smiled.
What Cyrus needs is time to face himself. Whether you want to work or study hard, high school is your chance.
The Anderson couple, who always considered my well-being, enrolled me in high school to broaden my horizons. In high school, I encountered a man named Aaron again. Aaron was a classmate from elementary school. We hadn't spoken much back then because we weren't in the same class. However, in high school, Aaron took every opportunity to make snide remarks and harass me. Aaron, belonging to a prominent group, gradually began involving others to tease me. As an orphan without parents, I've been a frequent target of bullying at school. So, I know not to engage in such situations. I'll ignore him, and he'll get bored soon. Thinking this way, I decided to ignore Aaron, but he kept bothering me. My stress continued to accumulate. And so, my high school life began, far from smooth. About a month after starting high school, Paul asked me about my school life. It's fun, Paul. Thank you for letting me attend high school. Definitely won't mention Aaron's harassment. After all, I don't want to make them worry about me. I had resolved to challenge various things during my high school years using the time the Andersons had given me. I wanted to discover my own potential. To repay the Andersons even a little, I came up with the idea of working part-time at a convenience store. My reasons were to earn some pocket money and because I thought I'd meet various people at the convenience store. The Andersons were genuinely delighted with my decision. Although I worried whether my reserved nature would hinder customer service, I surprisingly handled it smoothly, even though I had considered it a weakness. As for my co-workers, they included college students, housewives, and a 65-year-old man. Listening to their stories, I realized that my life experiences were still quite limited. They all agreed, once you're out in the real world, most people end up working for companies or conforming to societal norms. So, figure out what you like now. The advice of those who are older than me in life makes me think. I believe that starting the part-time job helped me grow significantly. One day, Jessica, a fellow high school student, joined our team. Jessica was quiet, but because we were the same age, lived nearby, and took the same route home, we quickly became friends. Chatting with Jessica on our way back from work became one of my favorite things. While I did most of the talking, Jessica was a good listener and occasionally made sharp remarks. Being with her was a lot of fun. I used to live here, I said at one point, pointing to an empty lot. Jessica's surprised expression was genuine. I explained about losing my parents in a traffic accident during first grade, the repeated transfers, and how the kind couple, the Andersons, had taken me in and allowed me to live in this town again. Jessica paused, thinking for a moment, then looked straight into my eyes.
Cyrus, I'm glad you came back to this town.
I didn't dwell on the deeper meaning of her words, I simply felt happy. One day during break time, Aaron approached my desk.
Your parents died in an accident, right? They probably ran a red light, didn't they? People who can't follow rules deserve to die. And now, you're just a freeloader, passed around among relatives. It's suspicious that someone unrelated like you got taken in. Your life is a mess.
With a smirk, Aaron deliberately spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. Until now, I had ignored his provocations, but this time was different. Hearing him speak ill of my parents and the Anderson couple, I lost my temper. What do you know? Stop spouting nonsense. Before I realized it, I was grabbing Aaron.
Calm down, Cyrus.
My friend intervened, and I regained my composure, trembling fists and taking deep breaths. The classroom fell silent. Aaron looked surprised. It was the first time I'd stood up to him.
What's your problem? It's the truth, isn't it?
He spat out those words and returned to his seat. I managed to control my anger and left the classroom with my bag. It's too early to go home yet. I sat on the riverbank, gazing absent-mindedly at the water. Birdsong, the sound of flowing water, grass rustling in the wind, ordinary daily life unfolded before me. I used to take walks here with Mom and Dad. Memories from the past resurfaced. Memories of when my parents were alive were always joyful. We caught bugs together, baked birthday cakes. If my parents were still alive, what kind of person would I be? I tried to think about it but quickly gave up. Hours must have passed. It was already evening. Maybe it's time to go back. Feeling completely composed, I returned to the Andersons' house. I'm home.
Welcome back, Cyrus. Can we talk for a moment?
Betty, who greeted me, led me to the living room. Paul was sitting on the sofa.
Welcome back, Cyrus. Your homeroom teacher called earlier, saying you disappeared during lunchtime. What happened?
Sorry for leaving school without permission. I debated whether to mention Aaron. Paul and Betty looked at me with concern. I couldn't lie to these two, that much I knew. Right after starting high school, I became the target of harassment, namely by Aaron, a classmate from elementary school. I recounted all the events leading up to today.
I see. You're strong, Cyrus. Thank you for sharing. Don't endure it anymore. Lean on us a little more.
Cyrus, whether it's something fun or painful, talk to us about anything. We're family.
After listening to my story, both of them leaned in and said this. Since that fight, Aaron has bothered me less. However, one day, after work, when Jessica and I were leaving the convenience store as usual, I heard a voice. Oh, the person I least wanted to see, Aaron.
Working part-time at a place like this suits you. A poor guy without a family.
He began disparaging me in front of Jessica. I glared back at Aaron without saying a word. At that moment,
What are you doing?
a stern man approached Aaron from behind and smacked him on the head. Surprised, Aaron turned around.
Dad?
The man was Aaron's father. While Aaron stood speechless, his father came over to me and apologized.
Recently, we received a call from the Andersons. They informed us that our Aaron has been harassing you, Cyrus. Even now, he's doing such terrible things. I'm truly sorry.
But the story didn't end there.
Actually, the Andersons helped me a great deal in the past. I used to run a shop, and when Aaron was in first grade, I caused a traffic accident while making a delivery. 2 people lost their lives in that accident.
Those 2 people who died were your parents.
Aaron stood next to his father and spat out those words. The sudden revelation left my mind reeling. Aaron's father briefly looked down but then continued speaking.
Cyrus's parents tried to save a small child who ran into the road, even though the traffic light was red. I wasn't speeding, but the sudden event made it impossible to avoid them. I'm truly sorry.
Aaron's father seemed visibly distressed, his arms trembling with tension.
People around me suspected that I was speeding. The shock of causing an accident was bad enough, but being doubted took a toll on me both mentally and physically. The Andersons were the ones who helped me.
In the aftermath of the accident, Aaron's father sought legal assistance from Paul. As it turns out, the Andersons were Paul's upperclassmen from college, and they had known each other for a long time. They listened empathetically and gathered evidence to address the unavoidable nature of the accident. Thanks to their efforts in dispelling misconceptions, Aaron's family could continue living together, and their shop reopened. Aaron's father expressed heartfelt gratitude to the Anderson couple. However, after the accident, false rumors circulated. Aaron's family couldn't walk outside for a while, and even after reopening the shop, customers rarely came. Aaron faced bullying at school.
Because the Andersons helped us, we can live a normal life now.
Aaron's father reprimanded him.
Why did you run despite a red light? Dad, who followed the rules, was suspected, and I suffered. Dad isn't at fault.
Aaron seemed to channel the frustration he had felt in the past. Knowing that Aaron's father had also endured hardships due to the accident and had considered me, My heart tightened. Aaron's father said,
Aaron, I'm sorry. I thought Aaron had forgotten about the accident a long time ago because you were so young. Let's go home and talk slowly.
Aaron's father spoke to Aaron in this way, and then, looking apologetic, he placed his hand on Aaron's back and the two of them slowly walked away. Jessica, who had been listening to the whole story, suddenly spoke up from behind.
Cyrus. You know, your parents protected me during the accident.
Jessica's sudden confession left me speechless. According to Jessica, on the day of the accident, when she was in first grade, she was walking her dog. The dog suddenly ran towards the road in response to a flying bird. Jessica, who had let go of the leash, desperately chased after the dog and ended up on the road. At that moment, a truck came from her right, and Jessica's parents, who had witnessed the accident, rushed to protect her. They pushed Jessica out of the way, sacrificing themselves. Jessica later learned that the two people who had helped her were my parents. Jessica's parents had gone to apologize, but Jessica was in shock from the accident and stayed indoors for a while. When she finally started going outside again, she found out that I had been taken in by a distant relative's family, who were not even related to me. Jessica had been tormented by guilt for not being able to apologize sooner. She felt that she owed my parents a debt she could never repay.
Cyrus, when you told me about your parents, I had a feeling, but hearing that person's story just now confirmed it. I'm so sorry for the late apology. Thanks to your parents, I've been able to live like this. Thank you so much.
Jessica apologized deeply. When I returned home, I told Paul everything I had heard today. Paul said,
I really respect Cyrus's parents. It's not something anyone can do, risking their lives to protect someone else's child. Since the accident, I've always wanted to protect Cyrus, who was born to such admirable parents. That's why we decided to take you in.
Paul had been concerned about me, who had been left alone. Because my parents had given their lives to protect someone else's child, I was able to live with Paul and Betty, attend high school, work part-time, and meet Jessica, whom they had also helped. Various elements connected like a single thread, and I became convinced that I could live strongly. From that day on, Aaron stopped harassing me. No one else bothered me. The classroom atmosphere became more pleasant, and I was finally able to enjoy a peaceful high school life. In my third year of high school, I quit my part-time job at the convenience store to focus on studying for university entrance exams. Inspired by the stories of the college students I had met, I decided to pursue a legal career. I wanted to become a lawyer like Paul and help others. I was accepted into university, and Jessica was accepted into the same university. We had actually been dating since our second year of high school.
Cyrus, let's go tell the convenience store where we worked that we got accepted.
With those words, Jessica started running along the embankment. Whether it was fate or not, we had met. Knowing our pasts and having hope for the future, we cherished ourselves. From now on, I would continue to live my life, proud of my parents who had risked their lives to help others. With that thought, I started running along the embankment where I had once walked with my parents.
How did you like this story? If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time.